Good morning. Welcome to UC Santa Barbara. We are so glad to have you here for this very special event with His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama. This morning, this morning's lecture on the nature of mind is unique an opportunity for us to expand our knowledge of Buddhist traditions, philosophy, and scholarship. This is an area of academic strength of UC Santa Barbara. Our Buddhist studies program has flourished within the interdisciplinary environment of our campus. It draws on the strength of its home department, our highly regarded Department of Religious Studies, our Center for Interdisciplinary Humanities, and many other departments and programs in humanities, fine arts, social sciences, education, engineering, environment, and the sciences. We have with us today many of our community members, donors, and friends who have helped us build a world-class teaching and research program in this area of study. We gratefully acknowledge all of your support. There have been so many people who have helped us make today's event possible. I'm afraid I simply just don't have enough time to thank everyone who should be thanked. But the fact that all tickets were sold out within 2 hours is testimony to how strongly you support us. I would like to mention that my colleague who invited Dalai Lama, he's a former translator for Dalai Lama. His scholarship is known around the world. He is the 14th Dalai Lama endowed chair in Tibetan Buddhism and Cultural Studies, Professor Jose Cabezon. I would also like to recognize our Executive Dean of the College of Letters and Science, David Marshall. Dean Marshall has been a strong promoter for this event every step along the way. Dean Marshall. And I must also acknowledge the extraordinary efforts of Director Celesta Bellici and our arts and lectures team, and Gretchen Favre, Nicole Clanford, and Stacy Janik. We feel so fortunate to have the opportunity to learn from Dalai Lama today and to be inspired by his message and scholarship. The Dalai Lama is an incomparable Buddhist teacher. In every aspect of his life, he embodies the principles he teaches. Perhaps the best way to describe these principles is to remember that he was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 1989. I might take this opportunity to mention that UC Santa Barbara is known for our Nobel laureates. Among the audience today, we have Nobel laureates in physics, in chemistry, and in economics here to welcome His Holiness the Dalai Lama. I don't know where you are, my colleague, just wave your hand. To introduce the Dalai Lama, we are honored to have with us the chairman of our UC Board of Regents, Richard Blum. Regent Blum is the founder and the chairman of the American Himalayan Foundation. The focus of this nonprofit organization is on providing education and health care, as well as supporting cultural and environmental preservation for the Himalayan region. The friendship between the Dalai Lama and Regent Blum goes back more than 3 decades. I cannot think of anyone better to provide this morning's introduction. Please welcome Chairman Blum.
Your Holiness, Chancellor Yang, thank you very much. This is a difficult moment for me to express how I feel, because the two things I care the most about, His Holiness, the Tibetan people, the people of the Himalayas, and the University of California have gotten together. And I must say, as chairman of the board, you're supposed to kind of be equal about the different campuses, and having gone to Berkeley, spent a lot of time at Berkeley, when it comes to Buddhist studies and religious studies, Jose Cabazon and this campus and your faculty is the best place to go. You've gotten so good that Berkeley's a little bit jealous, and they're trying to do better, and that's okay too. As you know, the first professionalship, the Dalai Lama Studies Chair, was started here. This is a very short trip for His Holiness to the United States, and we're honored that he's going to visit two campuses here today, and he'll be speaking at the Greek Theater in Berkeley tomorrow. I've been given a ridiculous task here. It says, relate some personal observations and history of your relationship with His Holiness, and you've got 2 minutes, and I've known him 38 years. Well, first let me say that we were reincarnated at about the same time. No, it's true. We're only 10 days difference in age, but we won't, I don't know. Everybody knows when he was born, but I don't talk about when I was born, except there's 10 days difference. The only difference is we know who he was in his last life. He was the 13th Dalai Lama, who was a wonderful man. And of course, he was then reincarnated once again as the Dalai Lama. What we don't know is who I was in my last life. And I must have done something really bad to be reborn an investment banker. But I've tried to make up for it since then through our American Himalayan Foundation and our work with the university. As I think many of you know, my wife is Senator Dianne Feinstein. And thank you. I'll let her know you care. We first went to visit His Holiness in Dharamsala in 1978 when it wasn't possible for His Holiness to visit here. I think we had something to do with clearing that up. And his first visit to the United States, in fact, was to San Francisco in 1979. Not only is His Holiness one of the finest people I've ever met, but also the Tibetan people, by and large, are spiritual and kind. And we must help them preserve their tradition and learn from them. That's what this is all about. Contrary to what the Chinese propaganda will let you believe, the Tibetans in exile have developed a democratic government in Dharamsala. My wife and I have engaged the leadership in Beijing for a long time, trying to help resolve this issue. And unfortunately, we haven't made much progress, but we will never quit because all this is much too important. But we have, through the International Campaign for Tibet and our American Himalayan Foundation, which provides humanitarian and educational assistance we have 170 projects throughout the Himalayan region, and I would say probably half of them are for the Tibetans, either in Tibet directly or in exile in refugee camps and other centers in Nepal and India. It was very easy for me to fall in love with the Tibetans. In 1968, the first night out on the trail, I stayed in a Tibetan refugee camp, and small children sat on your lap. They were either born there or carried over the mountains. It was amazing. They spoke English. And I guess those of us who had that kind of introduction were gone for day one. So it was through that and my interest that we met His Holiness. And of course, he will tell you his religion is rather simple. It's about kindness and compassion. And we've tried to learn a little bit about that and tried to thank His Holiness and his people by the projects we've done over the years. So I think I've gone way over my 3 minutes, but anyhow, thank you, Your Holiness, for being here. It's now your turn, and you have way more than 3 minutes to talk.
Of course, the topic about nature of mind and the sources of my talk, mainly Buddhist text. So therefore, at the beginning, I want to recite one shloka, verse, the salutation to Buddha. That verse wrote by Nagarjuna. Kange tusi nyezo ne nawado jebang bejere dan beche ne den jebe kwadam tala cha lo. Dear brothers and sisters, of course, Chancellor, and my longtime friend, and the Dean, and also longtime my friend, although he no longer as a monk, but sometimes I refer still Bhikshu. So, indeed, I feel great honor talk a large number of people and in the university campus. So great honor. Last 2 days, somewhat called flu or cold. So a lot of liquid come from here. And my voice, a little bit unusual, but okay. I think usually my voice, I think a little better than today's voice. Now, originally, lecture about some Buddhist concept, here a bit longer. So at that time, the concerned people arranged this text. Now, since the duration of my lecture shortened, so now I will not go through that text. Now, I have the topic, nature of mind. Although all major religious traditions carry same message of love, compassion. With that, spirit of forgiveness, tolerance, and also self-discipline. Out of awareness, the negative thing, sort of negative consequences. So knowing that and some kind of self-discipline. And also in material field, more contentment. As these practice, same in all traditions. So now these loving kindness or compassion, these are mental quality. And also try to reduce anger, hatred, fear, suspicion. These negative, destructive emotions also part of mind. And basically, the joyfulness, pains, these two things are experience or feeling of mind. So basically, all major tradition, and all, of course faith, also part of mind. So all major tradition is carrying message or practice or method to improve mind. Same. But now because of differences, the theistic religion, non-theistic religion, the theistic religion, the emphasis, importance of faith. Faith towards Creator, towards God. That is the way of approach. And non-theistic, such as Jainism and Buddhism, and some other ancient Indian traditions, such as Sangha, one part of Sangha philosophy, is non-theistic. So non-theistic's essential idea is something like self-creation. And also the concept of law of causality, cause and effect, cause and effect, cause and effect. So therefore, ultimately, this something like Creator is within ourselves. So then naturally, not just body also important as a basis of the mind. Now, for example, human body is the basis of human mind. With this, with the connection with the body, then we can say it's a different mind of human being, mind of animal, mind of insect, like that. So that, and also the sensorial level sort of consciousness entirely based on the part of the body. Like that. But ultimately, body action, including voice, because of the verbal action, ultimately depend on the motivation. So motivation means mind. So, according to the law of causality, things which we want and things which we do not want, all ultimately related with our motivation, our mind. So now, in order to achieve happy life, joyful life, we have to take care about our mind, motivation. Now, in order to overcome, in order to reduce suffering, we have to deal with negative emotion or destructive emotion, which ultimately bring these unwanted things. So therefore, special emphasis in these traditions about mind. Now naturally, logically, when deal with mind, we should have thorough knowledge about mind. Then also, within the what we call mind or consciousness, I don't know. Within that, there are so many different
categories, types.
Different types of mind. Thousands. Then all these destructive emotions, the only way to deal these destructive emotions only through mind, not through matters or injection or surgery, not like that, but only through another mind. Now, for example, anger, hatred will not reduce through some drugs or alcohol. Maybe sometimes sleep, maybe. Even if there's a lot of anger, sound sleep may help reduce. The next morning, your anger a little bit smaller. Actually, they basically, all these negative, destructive emotion, they dealing these destructive emotion in order to reduce. The only way is opposite mind, contradictory mind. First, realize the contradictory sort of mind, then increase that. That's the only way to change or to reduce these negative emotions. So, in other words, in order to reduce the destructive emotion, the only way is to increase these constructive emotions. That's the only way. So therefore, again, we have to know what kind of mind, what kind of thought is ultimately destructive, and what kind of mind or emotion ultimately constructive. So we have to know that. Then, big question, destructive emotion can eliminate or not? Now, this is a big question. In order to find answer for that question, we have to know the ultimate nature of mind. And the basis of all these destructive emotions. Then you get some understanding, the possibility of elimination these destructive emotions. So therefore, in Buddhist text, quite a lot of information about emotion, about mind. And then also, I think particularly in tantric teaching, since the tantric teaching also involve some, physical,
No.
usually we call zoluntigli.
Yeah, some manipulation and application of physiological forces.
So therefore, you see, it mentioned the sort of different level of mind,
Subtleties.
like grosser level of mind, and more subtle, like that. That mentioned only in tantric text, in tantric teaching. So for example, just this moment, our sensorial consciousness, our mind, fully functioning, active. Although simultaneously, the thought also go simultaneously. But sensorial consciousness are much more dominant. Then during dream time, the sensorial consciousness no longer function. Only thought, another level. Then during deep sleep, without dreaming, another level of deeper level of consciousness of mind. So then also, when at the time of fainting, even stop breathing, another level of deep level of mind. Then at the time of death, all physiology, physical things, now for example, the heart beating stop, then blood circulation in the brain within a short moment cease. Then all the neurons now no longer function. So all grosser level of mind then stop. I think something like human mind then no longer there, stop. But the only indication, we ordinarily we can notice that some people after death, at the time of death, physical level, death, clinically recognize or declare death. But the body remains very fresh. Now one example, my own senior tutor, after death, about next 13 days, his physical, his body remained very fresh. And then recently, one senior,
No, a Tibetan Lama, the former throne holder of Ganden.
I think last year, after he
Passed away.
passed away, I think next almost 3 weeks, his body remained fresh. So fortunately, at that time, as soon as I heard that Rinpoche's body still remained fresh, so then I asked one medical center in Dharamsala, since we already kept some machine to check a person who remained that state. So some simple machine available. So I sent a message to them, and then they sent some people and carried those simple machine. And put some wires on the head, like that. So although they very detailed analysis not yet sort of finalized, but seems that after a few days, clinically dead, there some weak electric sort of movement.
Signals.
Signals.
Some electrical signals were there.
In brain. So it is, they say, very unusual. So that we believe that still that person's innermost subtle mind is still in the body. So some influence in the body. So that is we call most subtle consciousness. So there are many levels. Now here one thing. Now I shifted to the Tibetan. Ngamba zhenang ya taje tangzhe sa shege gembi lumudengi tangta longamande taje tangzhe. Di shen ju zane 패지 지원모도 주면 그들로 기디로 시작이야. 다이네 뭐 근데 날이야. 시선 참모 얘는 루머데 이미 켜셔. 시선 참모리 루머데 마도 개미기 시작하면. 다도 차로 치면 계시도 다도가. 라고원도 제윤이 개미기 남샷이. 다 참여가는 말 내윤도 얘네 개미기 시작하면 루머데 걸어를 했습니다. 시바. 다 나게 흉나는 샤윤데 시스템 참모데 난저게 떡기 겨울에 교토를 했어. 이네 시스템 참모 미게 원래 남의 교토야 매래. 사드레인데 디 캐바스토가 미게 로드 제디 런시 제주 군도 유여의 링달라 미게외 남도 용례 런신 제주 군도 가사레 제라 아니 동버시 내가올라 미게외로 게 매래 사실 미게외로데 라볼루베 나는 것도 믿어가 이네 겨와데 뉴머 해지 게벨로데 겨와를 교수하시도가 그래서 되게 가르치고 있어요. 시바 참여가 레윤데 개별로 가서 탑식을 쓰면 개별로 개퇴하지. 미기별로 개퇴하면 되겠지. 개발시켜는 거.
So, talking about the classical Buddhist sources for understanding the nature of mind, one important source is the Abhidhamma literature. And in the Abhidhamma text, particularly in the Abhidhamma Kosha, which is the treasury of knowledge by Vasubandhu, when he talks about the death process, and he talks about how the various moments of consciousness, one give rise to another consciousness, and also the transition from a virtuous state of mind to a neutral and to a non-virtuous state of mind, and vice versa. When he was explaining this, in this context, he explains that the moment of consciousness at the time of death can be depending upon different individuals, and at that particular situation, some of them can be a virtuous, some of them can be non-virtuous, and some of them can be simply a neutral state of mind. However, in Asanga's Abhidhamma Samuccaya, another Abhidhamma text, compendium of knowledge, here he says that if you really analyze the moment of consciousness at the point of death, at that very subtle point, the state of mind can neither be virtuous nor non-virtuous. It is beyond that dichotomy of virtue versus non-virtue, but rather it is a completely neutral state of mind. And then another source for the Tibetan understanding of the subtle levels of consciousness is the Vajrayana, the tantric teachings. And there it is acknowledged that even that subtle moment of consciousness at the point of death for a yogi, an experienced meditator, it is possible to affect that state of mind from a neutral state to a virtuous state. So the point here is that the destructive states of mind, the non-virtuous states of mind, they can only operate up to a level of consciousness, and beyond which a very subtle the subtle levels of consciousness arises, then these non-virtuous and destructive emotions and thoughts can no longer function. So that suggests that the destructive and non-virtuous mental states are dependent upon there being comparatively a grosser level of consciousness.
So now I feel the complete sort of understanding or explanation about mind, I think we should include the Tantric text.
The Vajrayana perspective. No.
So now in Guhi Samanza, Tantra text, Sangri Tsuju. Ma Sangri Tsuju ma re, Sangri Tsuju ya na. Hare. Doi chao na yi. Shi re da kada. Gyu ni gyun shi chao cha, sarwa. Gyu ni gyun shi chao cha. Gyu ni naba sum ju des. Shi dan. Da dishin kasa rudu ge. Da now I fail to recite the text. I can't remember now. Kind of many shi ju, tab ju, mitobam, devi ju sum shed.
So in one of the Vajrayana texts, known as the Guhyasamaja Tantra, there is an explanation of what is meant by the word Tantra. And Tantra is explained in terms of a continuum. So when we say continuum, what kind of continuum there can be? So it identifies a continuum in the sense of a basic continuum of consciousness.
Gyuni gyunshi chawa chas. Gyuni namba sundu des. Shida tishin da tabsa chihari. Shi gyu, tabi gyu, mitopam, debi gyu.
So, and then it explains the meaning of Tantra, the continuum, in terms of the basic continuum, and the method that one can apply, and then the resultant state that one can achieve from that method.
That actually, the consciousness, the level of consciousness, three categories. One, basis. One, not tackling that mind, another level. The third level, out of dealing with the mind, finally can be completely purified mind.